Hello and welcome to another episode of the BetaKit Podcast. I am your host, Douglas Saltis, Editor-in-Chief of BetaKit. And in what has become an annual tradition, I have returned to stuff your holiday stocking with the biggest tech stories of 2025. But I can't do it alone. So my holiday wish has been granted, and I Amazon overnighted my brother in pod, Rob Kenedi, host of the Decelerator podcast, to join me. So, what are the biggest tech stories of 2025? Well, let's dig in. Sound the alarm, Solve 4X is back. The latest season of the Mars podcast is exploring more world-changing ideas. Join journalist Manjula Selvarajah as she talks to the people behind the latest innovations in tech and science, like the astonishing rise in solar energy, the cheapest way to generate electricity. How can Canada take advantage of this power shift? What about ways we could simply eradicate forever chemicals with the flip of a switch? How could BCIs help people with severe disabilities gain more independence? And then there's the question of whether AI can be harnessed for the true benefit of society. Get a jump on the future. Listen to Season 4 of Solve 4X wherever you get your podcasts. Let them know that BetaKit sent you. Rob, buddy.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. You're Douglas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's been a minute.
I know.
I made the executive decision that I was tired of seeing you at events and not talking to you. So I scheduled you for the podcast.
It's the only way we communicate is via podcast.
So I'm very excited that you're willing to
me
do
too.
this.
This is fun.
We are continuing.
I don't like the
transition.
accountability aspect of this, but I do like everything else.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, come on back. And I'm going to hold you accountable for all of your predictions
Equally,
from last
it's
year.
détente, I think.
If you have not experienced one of our kind of end of the year wraps, we're going to go through some of the largest tech stories globally, North America for sure. We're going to include some Canadian tech stuff in that. But if you want the full list of the biggest Canadian tech stories of 2025, might I point you to betakit.com, where we're running a whole series right now, probably by the time this episode's out, and you can just read all of them. I'm going to try and represent the Canadian tech component. We'll have some Canadian tech in here, but this is Canadian tech and tech from a Canadian perspective. So we want to talk about the massive stories so that are, impact Canada overall. But we
on
also,
our iPad minis.
on our shared iPad minis, we both brought the same minis.
Apple don't sell minis.
So with this, I think we should also go over not only what our biggest stories of last year were,
Yes.
but our 2025 tech predictions, because we really, really nailed it. And let me say, we thought this year was going to be one where AI agents make their way into our daily lives. Not a bad prediction. Wouldn't say it really came true. I was very, very confident that one big tech company will be smacked by antitrust. Turned out,
Some stuff
depending
happened.
on who you elect as your national leader, that really changes the state of play on the ground. Didn't actually happen, although as some of the Google suits are ongoing. So TBD. Didn't happen this year though. And then for our crazy predictions in the back end, Rob went like nuclear reactor hot take and predicted that Shopify would buy Cohere, which I'm disappointed didn't happen, because that was such a good take that it's like should have.
Yes.
But again, TBD.
Yes.
And then again, reminder, we recorded this last year on the day that Chrystia Freeland
That's true.
resigned
Yeah.
as finance minister during the fall economic update. I predicted that the Liberal government would win another election and most of its innovation policy would continue. I can't remember, or I've conveniently forgot, whether or not I specified who would be the head of the Liberal Party at the time. But 1 for 4 isn't bad with 2 TBD.
Not bad. Yeah, no, not bad. I think that's a H-.
Have you contacted any executive leaders at Shopify or Cohere, letting them know how disappointed you are that they haven't transacted a deal yet?
Is that outsider trading? I did give them a blank check, but I don't think my bank account could.
No. I don't think we have the capital to cover any.
I haven't looked at Shopify stock price and Cohere's valuation today to see could they be an all stock deal.
These aren't grounded takes, people. We did not.
What are you talking about?
This is none of
this makes any sense at all.
Vibes based only. I'll say so. Those were our predictions for this year. We're going to talk about what ended up happening, but again, point of comparison, because last year was quite interesting. We did our 2024 biggest tech stories of the year. I'll probably throw a finger up here and we'll include a link to that episode. But the summary that we had was, 2024 was a year of glacial movements, slow but monumental, the beginnings of change only seen once a tech age that has the potential to reset the board.
It's very
poetic. Yeah. Definitely, we didn't add that live. We were saying the biggest stories of last year of antitrust, and we were asking if big tech was actually going to be broken up. We just told you the answer to that. We were covering the rise of the Doge Bros from the EAC movement. There was a whole Doge government agency in the US, and there was like a Canadian Doge moment for a minute.
Yeah.
We were definitely talking about AI spend and ROI.
Yes.
And then because I'm a big tech nerd loser, I was like, the rise of federated media is here.
Yeah.
Will it save social media?
I did go to South by Southwest last year.
Yeah.
And there's a whole Fediverse area with, believe it or not,
it does exist.
Flipboard. Remember Flipboard?
Oh, I do remember Flipboard.
That guy, the CEO of Flipboard, was pushing heavily that technology, his own technology, as a discovery mechanism for the Fediverse, because he's like, the problem is discovery.
Oh.
So that was, they had like Fediverse
board?
House, and then you can like ingest using, I forget the name of the product, but some other product to like, maybe we should explain what the Fediverse is.
No. Again, I'm just going to hold up a link and you'll either go to our episode with the head of Blue Sky's Trust and Safety, or CEO of Gander trying to make federated Canadian alternative, which just closed some fundraising.
Yes,
so maybe 2026 will be the year.
I didn't know. Is it a Fediverse play? Like, is it on the?
Yeah, they're on the Blue Sky stack.
Yeah.
Okay, so those were the biggest stories of last year, and I could see why we were kind of being like, "Hey, setting up for some big change. Big tech might be disrupted." What do you feel like the vibe of this year was?
Well, I think like, as you said in the intro, the change in government in the United States really threw everyone for a loop in every possible way.
Oh man! All right,
I think like
it's gonna be one of those episodes.
Well,
yeah.
It's actually surprising, and you also said this before too. Less change than it seemed it would. We're still talking about AI bubbles.
Yes.
Like I think we had you covered on BetaKit. I did an interview at what's the name of the conference? Consensus. Consensus existed in Toronto for 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year and then out.
I actually had on my show the guy who bought Enron. The guy who did the Birds Aren't Real, the meme marketing guy, bought the assets of Enron, and he was just there. And I'm like, do you want to have a conversation? And he's legitimately trying to build an actual energy company using that. So
modular nuclear reactor that looks like an egg.
Yeah.
We had lots of fun.
Messed up. It was messed up. But you go down the escalator to that conference, and I think was in Toronto for exactly 1 year. I don't think it's coming back.
Yeah, nope.
I think
right back to the US.
BetaKit. Yeah, exactly.
They found out that no one from America wanted to come to Canada.
Although Anthony Scaramucci was there alone, which is very strange, and one or two other people. But they had there was like the Trump coin or whatever the name of that coin was on the escalator on the way down. So I think it's also like there's like a big rise of the crypto bros are sort of back in fashion, and the idea that although it's taken a hit in the last month or something like that, the fact that it's a crypto world again is kind of like the fact that that's in the mainstream and in discussion is kind of weird. But again, like nothing's really changed. Siri sucks. Nobody knows what to do with AI exactly still. There's a bubble.
Yeah.
It's going to burst. Okay.
I agree with you with that general.
We think we have an AI policy. We think we sort of know what we're doing with innovation, sort of.
Well, I feel like 2025 is the year that we committed to the bit a little bit. Yeah. And maybe all pretenses went away. Like you referring to the government consideration, the political consideration impacting tech in the US and in Canada, totally nailed. But like the stuff that we were expecting. So, hey, on the AI front. Business leaders all agree that AI is the future. Yeah. They just don't know how we're going to get there or wondering why it doesn't work right now. It's a real headline linked to in the notes, which perfectly encapsulates this year. The interesting relationship between government and business continues. Doge might be dead as an agency, but members of other tech podcasts have effectively blocked statewide AI legislation in the United States. Here in Canada, it's a little bit different. We've got the Build Canada contingent, something we actually tracked again. Last year is a big story. There is a working relationship between business and tech and our new old liberal government leaders, but that's still a continuation. And then with the AI stuff, we are seeing this kind of hey, there's a bubble where we're just going to keep going ahead with it because you can't stop. Maybe the biggest thing was with all that, maybe the reasons why stuff continued weren't for the ones that we thought with our predictions. I really thought antitrust was going to shake things up, that competitors would emerge because of structural changes in the market and competition to be a thing. And it just didn't happen, but we're still seeing absolute zaniness.
Well, and also we're going to talk a bit around this subject later, but we found that, as of the recording of this episode, a couple of weeks ago, OpenAI was freaking out about the fact that Google had surpassed their models.
Yes.
So you see big tech, in as much as OpenAI is a startup, which it really is, big tech is now leveraging its affordances and stepping ahead of startups because it was not broken up. It's not with Microsoft, if you remember, when they lost some antitrust trial, that was a lost at least few years for them where they're I think we're a phone company, but maybe we're a browser. I don't know what we are.
They directly attributed that antitrust case to them missing mobile. For a decade.
Exactly. And or more, and then same with but Google's not distracted. It was distracted, but it's not really distracted. It's firing on all cylinders on AI. YouTube is it is the place to be if you're a creator of any sort at all. So the lack of enforcement of the antitrust is already, I think, rearing its head to the world.
Yeah. Okay, so it didn't kick around the marbles as much as we thought. I would say it's still surprising, and I'll pose this question to you. It seems like the consensus is by the end of the year, Gemini is now the best consumer chat model. I don't want to get into vibe coding again. I don't want to do another PSA on vibe coding, but it seems like Gemini has really come back. And whatever, in the Microsoft moment, they took their eyes off mobile. In the AI moment, Google called a code red, got back to shipping, and now OpenAI is calling a code red. Is there just too much entrenched dominance in big tech?
Kind of.
Because we're going to get to maybe some of the other stories. Maybe I'm teeing up some...
I have a hot take and a not so... So the hot take, my general philosophy or outlook on all this stuff is that I think with AI, what we're seeing is tech is really a commodity. If you look at, and maybe we've talked about this before, but if you look at if I gave BetaKit $20 billion,
please do.
There is no reason why you couldn't raise another 20. No, just kidding. There's no reason why you couldn't build a competitive LLM model where you could suck up the entire internet. There's no technology. I'm being a little bit mean here, but I'm trying to make a point. It's not quite this simple. You don't, they're not inventing new technology, they're using technology.
Yes.
And so it's a capital problem, it's not an innovation problem. Mistral, Google, OpenAI, all of these companies and all the models that exist are the same. They're one slightly edges one out, and then 3 days later another edges one out. And from a usability perspective, as a user, is one better than the other? Is one $20 spent better than the other? There is a trend that's shaping up, but what I would say is that what the capital buys you now isn't necessarily innovation per se. It's market. You want to be just like OpenAI, the deal they made with Apple. They paid Apple, unlike Google, who paid $20 billion a year for Apple to have it as a default search engine. OpenAI pays Apple $0, and Apple pays OpenAI $0 to be the default AI search on iOS because it's distribution. They want to be the Kleenex of AI, and Apple gets a working model. But to be more precise to the point that you're making, there is some specialization that seems to be leaking in. I'm not sure if this is a transient thing, but OpenAI feels like it's trying to be assistant-y. Claude, and so it's leaning in that direction. And Claude and Anthropic seem to be code focusy.
Some sort of productivity.
Yeah, so they lean in these like sort of rhymes. And, the best thing out of Google right now, one of the best things is their image, the Nano Banana thing is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's the real name.
It is the real name. And when you pay it, you get the little banana in your Google workspace, which is really weird. So I think that there is some light specialization going on, I think, as a point of market differentiation, because you can't just keep bashing your head against it's all the things.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's just an anomaly.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what you think about what you've seen in the companies in Canada, especially. But
I'm agreeing with you because you're kind of saying that there's a bunch of back and forth competition, but it's not leading to any like great price differentiation or value for consumers in that way. It's just more of a back and forth. And the other side you're talking about is a very like wealth begets wealth of like size and leverage begets leverage.
This is OpenAI. It's a classic case of money as a weapon, venture capital, money as a weapon to compete.
And money, but then also scale of user base and size, which probably is a perfect segue into our first biggest story of 2025, which is like everyone knows that there's an AI bubble, but it won't stop. I think this is the year that from the like all the leaders stopped talking about AI super intelligence and are now talking more about market dynamics. OpenAI, now a for-profit company, not profitable. No. They're not going to make money by 2030 and still need to come up with another $207 billion with a B to power their growth. We have seen this endless run. I think to what you were really pointing to, these circular investments where NVIDIA and Microsoft have made deals with Anthropic to purchase $30 billion worth of Microsoft's Azure cloud usage. NVIDIA and Microsoft will then give about $15 billion total into Anthropic to cover costs because they're lighting money on fire every day. We've seen NVIDIA do similar deals with OpenAI and CoreWeave. We saw OpenAI do a deal with SoftBank. Remember them for a joint 50-50 venture in Japan. It's all of these, well, we'll give you the money to spend on our services to up your valuation, to keep compute and developing. And if we keep doing this, the market will not catch us in the fact that no one is actually making money except for NVIDIA and maybe some of the super scalers, like maybe, depends. Famed investor, Big Short guy, if you like movies, Michael Burry was basically saying that Meta and Oracle were artificially inflating their revenue by understating the depreciation of their data center equipment. No one's going to pay attention to the actuals if everyone keeps committing deals to pay each other billions of dollars, to pay each other billions of dollars, to pay each other billions of dollars. Is it the vibe you were articulating off the top? Is that just the experience of being inside the bubble that everyone knows is the bubble, but we've gotten much better at bubbling?
Oh man. I'm going to ask the question right back at you, but I think
Rob, I invited you back on this podcast so that you can answer
no
the
accountability. I think, this is another tech bubble like the .com bubble. The question is, when it pops, how will it pop? I think.
Yeah.
So will it pop like, for those kids old enough to remember with like, people losing their shirts?
Yeah.
Is this a 2001? Is this a 2008? What kind of popping is this going to be? It cannot go on this way. The bet, I think, is it is a transformational technology. The bet is that it will get rid of all of our jobs and robots will do all the things. So it all makes sense from that particular lens. Do the valuations make any sense? Probably not. But I think the thesis, I think, is if you own the future of the way that humans do things, what's the value of that? So I think that's the sort of thought process. The question is, can you realize, like, if you owned the plumbing of the internet, you'd be very rich right now. If you own TCP/IP, you know what I mean?
Yes. Well,
you would be rich.
But everyone's if and there's tons of breakdowns here on like exactly how much money OpenAI would need to make to ever recoup the cost of its investments.
Right.
And like the math doesn't math unless we fundamentally transform the economy to a scale and function that we have never seen before, which, hey, new industrialized age, maybe not.
Right.
What is so interesting to me and what you're pointing to is that like everyone is still willing to feed the current economy into the future.
Right.
To see if it happens. And I'm assuming it's because they don't want to be the person like going around the chair and like waiting for it and not having a place to sit.
There's no incentive. Like I for Black Friday, I bought an SSD from Micron Crucial SSD. And it was on sale I waited for the price. And it was like, I don't know, it's 4 terabytes for like $270 or $300. Like it felt expensive, but I'm like, I don't want to kill myself. The next day, as soon as Black Friday ended, Micron said, we are no longer in the business of consumer RAM. We're not selling RAM for gaming desktops.
Yeah.
We're getting out of the SSD business because the only money is in AI, supplying. And if you today, as of recording of this podcast, late December 2025, try to buy any RAM, any SSDs, or even hard drives, the prices are through the roof.
Or any consumer device that requires those things.
Right. There's rumors that laptops are going to have less RAM next year.
Yeah.
Because it's too expensive.
Well, and the gaming consoles keep going up. We did have like so we're going to do 2 off the front, 2 in the back, and then a couple of bonus things. We did have like a mystery 5th one that I was toying with. It was just like how weird the gaming industry is right now, which is maybe beyond the scope of this. But the point of overlap is that like the gaming industry is being sucked into the AI vortex, and you're now paying, like the prices have gone up for consoles that launched during COVID 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
That's
not better.
It's not
They're smaller.
Great. Yeah.
They're not better.
Okay. But so
all that to the question you're asking, I think there is a bubble. How do we exit the bubble? I think the other interesting thing I read is that the other Meta and all these other companies are like Meta, Google are CapEx. They're spending it off of their CapEx. Oracle's interesting thing is from the data center perspective, is doing it from debt. So they have a huge risk because when the debt comes home to roost, there better be people to use their data centers.
If they just bundle it in tranches and then split up from AAA down to double B,
everything's never gone bad.
No. Okay. So
how are you seeing it? How are you seeing it? Because you talk to startups all the time that are playing in this space.
They're so busy being in the shit of scaling and capturing market opportunity. And again, we'll point a finger up to the episode we did with Matt Cohen about how AI race is changing startup math. The speed and capacity which you can generate revenue right now means that if you were like a top decile startup in 2015 of like getting to $1 million ARR after a year, you'd be bottom performing because you can launch a company right now and get $1 million in ARR, which means that you did 1/12 of that for a month and you're multiplying.
And it's just you and a cat.
And you have no margins and it's all about distribution. Like things are like really, really changing. And I think every entrepreneur is trying to figure out where they are in that. On the what kind of bubble pop this will be. That glacial idea from last year to this year, where we're like, man, we thought there was going to be like significant change and it seems to be continuing, is like the glaciers haven't changed. They are
the Titanic
too big to fail. Or both in revenue or leverage that we haven't actually seen them hit the boat yet. So that we were just getting this continuation. I don't know if, I would like to think that in this environment where everyone's in on the bubble bit, that will lead to an outcome that when it pops, it's not quite a 2000, a bunch of companies that weren't really existing get wiped out. And then it paves the way for like the next 20 years of tech. I think this is kind of like a too big to fail thing where there's going to either be bailouts or write-offs or, again, friends in government who have their own podcasts will make concessions.
The point you made about OpenAI, the $200 billion to even be remotely profitable, who's investing in the data centers? The American government. That's a free $1 trillion that they don't have to.
So I don't know.
To your point.
We're talking about a bubble. We're talking about how it might pop, and maybe it'll just like be squeezed and reshaped into something else. But yeah, that's why we had it as our first biggest story of 2025. I will note through that whole thing, there was really one company that we didn't mention at all, which is kind of weird when you're talking about big tech. And that company is Apple. And I think the second biggest story of 2025 when it comes to a tech perspective is that Apple is kind of bad now. So let's walk through the year that Apple had. And this is post Vision Pro. iOS 26 is an absolute mess. I finally got around to downloading it. I used it for maybe 36 hours before I was like, I totally understand why executive Alan Dye was allowed to leave to go to Meta, because he was the one responsible for the liquid glass styling. It's like a complete misunderstanding of like what a mobile OS should be. It's a giant waste of aesthetic and space and blah. I wonder if they're actually going to roll it back when they find Alan Dye's replacement. Apple is pulling back on the iPhone Air because their whole, hey, remember when we can make things super thin, didn't seem to excite anyone at all. No one bought it. Oh, yeah. We were just having a conversation about AI. Apple's AI chief actually stepped down from the company. He's going to retire at the end of the year because they delayed Siri from this spring to next spring. Fingers crossed, double stamp the pot. We went quite hard last year, Rob, on the failings of Siri, some of these product issues. We actually, I think it did a full episode on Apple promising Apple Intelligence as promotion for devices that were upcoming to sell, and how crazy it was to see the company that started just one more thing going to buy it and we'll give you the features a little bit later, probably. Right. This is a huge reversal of, if not fortune, momentum, traction. They are no longer the de facto smart business decision-making company. Their leadership is turning over quite a bit and having to deal with El Jefe quite often. What is your read on this company that you buy more products from than probably any other?
Does that mean
company?
I guess I was going to say I'm sponsored by them. What's the opposite of being sponsored by them? They take all of your money.
You're still an influencer.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're a content creator.
That's what my mom says. So that's a great question. I mean, the momentum is still their momentum. I think if you're bored over the break when you're listening to this podcast, I did read Apple in China. I don't know if you've read that book.
No.
Fascinating book. It's basically how Apple, if you look at the back of any Apple device, it says designed in Cupertino, made or assembled in China or something to that effect. But this author, it's a book that came out this year, sort of did a deep dive into what that actually means. And effectively what happened is Apple went in. First of all, it's interesting to hear how things are made, how the sausage is made. And it's just really hard to make these devices of all shapes and sizes.
For the largest swath of humanity, more so than any other company, right? Like they have to make something that like billions of people use.
Right. And like putting tiny chips together and making them work. And then the thing comes off the line and it has to not catch fire and all of these things. So there's the effort in doing it, which speaks to why probably only China at the moment can do it. So Apple, you know the saying, if you owe the bank a little bit of money, the bank owns you. If you owe the bank a lot of money, you own the bank.
Yeah.
It feels a bit like that with Apple in China. But what has interestingly has happened over the last 10 years or so is Apple has trained up 28 million people, which is the size of the workforce in California, into how to build complicated hardware. Yeah. It spent in more than the Jobs Act that Biden put into place, or the infrastructure fund, I think the chip fund, spent that, the American government did that in 1 year. Apple did that over 10 years, sent the same amount of money every year for 10 years. So that entire ecosystem of human beings in China are able to, the reason why Xiaomi is big, the reason why DJI is big, the reason why those car companies that probably people here have never heard of, BYD, these really cheap cars that are better than Teslas, because they're just basically smartphones. They've got a battery, they've got a screen, and these ones have wheels. That's it.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is Apple has basically given away the goose a little bit. Like, there are these crazy competitors who are trained by Apple and now competing with Apple in that market. So, and the innovation isn't really happening at Apple. So they've trained other people how to compete with them hardware. Those folks are trying weird stuff. They succeeded in building car companies. Apple has not succeeded in building cars. So the question is, I mean, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Apple is Apple. You're going to buy an iPhone. The iPhone Air is the half of the iPhone, the foldable iPhone that's coming out next year. That's how it's going to manifest itself. What the hell you use a foldable iPhone for? I don't know. I really hope that it has iPadOS on the inside. It won't. No. But we're going to keep buying it because they're really good marketers. Their machines are amazing. Their marketing is amazing. And we keep buying the thing because it's subsidized. But in terms of like actual innovation, I'm worried that there's not a there.
Yes. Okay. Let's connect some, because I think you're totally nailing the implications here. I want to connect some threads on what we talked about up front, but then in our first segment. Mm-hmm. First, though, just to be established, you're agreeing with me that Apple's had a really bad year when it comes to product launches. Let's say like laptops and iPads aside, which are their not biggest sellers, it hasn't been a great year in terms of product innovation or direction overall. We're on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So given that, we're just talking about two different things: that tech is a commodity.
Yes.
And that these tech companies might be too biggish to fail, or too leveraged to fail, or too much owned to the bank to fail.
Yeah.
I would say for any big tech company we're speaking to, there's this weird dynamic of Apple, of absolute dominance in consumer touch points, and then control of applications and services. It's why OpenAI wants to deal with them. And kind of nothing else, to the point where if that glacier movement does hit a boat, if it does flip, all of a sudden it's not great to be a commodity anymore. Am I nailing this? Like, it's like kind of like they're not innovating, they're a commodity, they're not going anywhere unless
I think it's a classic innovator's dilemma. Okay. And I believe that, whenever you find product market fit, that is the thing. Yeah. That's it. You're never better than the thing everyone tries to do other things, and very few companies succeed in pivoting their entire business away. I think Microsoft has done it. They've become a cloud infrastructure provider.
They've completely given up on the consumer market. Again, going back to the gaming idea we won't use.
Good for them. Yeah. Google's still in the ad market. Apple's still fundamentally in the hardware business and actually the iPhone hardware business. So it's like, it's really, really hard when you've got these gigantic checks coming in on the right-hand side of you. And if you're losing, I mean, the question is, was this the key talent? I don't know if you can include this or you're going to cut this, but there was a really great tweet where they had a little tweet where they're like, sorry that Alan Dye left, and it was liquid glass, and you couldn't read half the tweet because it faded out into the background because it was so badly designed, and it was a tweet about him leaving. Like, was that the best talent that they had, or?
No, but there's a spinning of the wheels in this. I love that you brought Microsoft and Google back into this, because you're right. Microsoft has completely pivoted its business. They're not even pretending to be in the consumer market anymore. They want to own the infra, and they actually feel like they don't need to worry about consumers if the micro software that they're building is for AI agents. Like, that's the whole play for them. Google, we just talked about, they called a red alert, got their stuff together, and then Gemini is kind of like at the front of the pack in terms of performance and experience. Meta will continue to spend billions of dollars on things because they have it, and they won their antitrust case, so they're not worried.
But it's also not clear. Like, that they're pivoting. They just laid off a whole bunch of people in the Meta
Yes.
side of their business. And they're giving away Llama, and there's some interesting stuff happening there. But the question is, what is it? What is the business that is taking over Facebook?
Because when you own every social account and you have the add-in revenue for that, you have more time. Apple, I was just describing, is of those 4 companies the most asking to be disrupted, and I don't see a counterpunch. I don't see a product that they're like, other than the fact that we're still going to kind of need laptops and phones.
When they're working on them, when they get to the glasses, and I think augmented reality glasses will be the next phone.
Save it for the predictions at the back end of this. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get to our final 2 biggest tech stories of 2025. And then Rob will tell you his fucking VR, AR headset prediction. This episode of the BetaKit Podcast is presented by QuickBooks on the Intuit platform, built to help Canadian businesses work smarter, more efficiently, and make confident decisions. The QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is an all-in-one connected platform that uses artificial intelligence and human expertise to simplify how you run and grow your business. From managing cash flow and payroll to personalized, proactive insights leveraging the power of AI agents, QuickBooks helps you save time and focus on what matters most. Today, I'm joined by Pooja Sabrin, Regional VP and GM of Canada and Latin America for Intuit, who's going to talk to me about the recently redesigned QuickBooks. All right, Pooja, thank you for joining me. I want to jump right in and have you explain to me, why does this redesign matter? How is it impactful?
So we are really excited today to be announcing the launch of our new, more powerful QuickBooks on an all-in-one Intuit platform. And the reason I'm so excited about it is because of the benefits that it will bring to small business customers. Everything from improved efficiencies, improved insights that can facilitate decision-making, as well as automation that can really save customers' time. So what this platform will involve is 3 main components. So we will be introducing a set of proactive AI agents that will essentially automate a number of different tasks for the small business agents and work in collaboration with human experts while always giving the business owner and or their accountants complete and ultimate decision control. So that's a key part of the benefit. The second benefit is completely, as I talked about, an all-in-one platform. It's a redesigned, more streamlined view that brings all the key or what we call critical jobs to be done by a small business together in one place so that you're preventing having to switch from multiple applications. So anything from customer management, payments, payroll, all the accounting, all in one place. And the third piece is through this one platform, also allowing easy integration to any third-party applications that small businesses are coming in. So truly bringing it all together to then seamlessly collaborate with experts like accounting professionals.
Can we talk about the specific changes that the new QuickBooks offers small businesses?
Why I'm excited is it brings in a combination of proactive AI agents that will really help drive a number of key benefits and efficiencies for our customer, as well as surfacing key insights that improve decision-making. And it's all brought in one place with the critical jobs to be done. So the AI agents with human experts and all the key jobs to be done in one platform. And that would include anything from the accounting that a business has to do, payments, payroll, customer management, to make it easy for a small business owner to have it in one.
You know, it's a hard time for a lot of Canadian founders and small business owners right now. I just want to take a step back and have you talk to me about what you saw people experiencing in terms of their workflows, what problems you were trying to help them solve with the redesign.
If I look at one of the biggest challenges small businesses have is time. Right? It's time to focus on what they need to do to drive the growth of their business. They are really bogged down by a lot of operational issues. They're bogged down by working on multiple systems. In our research, we talked about 6 to 9, and sometimes you have small businesses using up to 30 applications. So there's a lot of inefficiency as you switch from system to system, as you have data in multiple systems. So this whole fragmentation of systems, as well as decision fatigue, that really slows small businesses down. And what we are doing with this new launch is helping to facilitate all of these challenges that small businesses face by bringing it and simplifying it into one platform that brings their critical jobs to be done and ultimately gives small businesses what they need, the time to focus on what really matters and help grow their business.
QuickBooks on the Intuit platform is an all-in-one connected business solution that leverages the power of artificial intelligence and human expertise to simplify how you run and grow your business. From managing cash flow and payroll to delivering personalized insights, leveraging the power of AI agents, QuickBooks helps you spend less time crunching numbers and more time growing your business. Visit quickbooks.intuit.com/CA to see how Intuit QuickBooks can help you. Okay, picking this back up, we've been talking mostly focused on what the tech companies are doing. Let's flip this around to what is being done to other companies by tech. Or who the tech companies are doing things to.
Is this the drinking game portion of the podcast?
Maybe a little bit.
Where are you and what are you doing? Is this Christmas or having eggnog? What are you doing?
Well, is this reality? Might be one of those questions you might be asking yourself if you have been scrolling through social media and seeing, you got the new Sora app and Mickey Mouse is doing some weird stuff. And you're like, oh man, haven't the BetaKit podcast talked a lot about like copyright and IP? Well, don't you worry. Because Disney signed a deal with OpenAI, and this is one of the many examples this year that the entertainment industry has completely conceded the fight to tech. There is no entertainment industry anymore. It is only bundles of IP left to be ripped apart and eaten up by the tech industry. We've got Disney signing a deal with OpenAI, a 3-year deal, only 1-year exclusive. You're going to see more than 200 Disney IP, ESPN, like all the Disney umbrella characters.
Does Mickey disappear in the 4th year? Like if you make a thing with Mickey, does it just like evaporate?
Rob, the ultimate commodity is that no one owns anything anymore.
That's
so
true.
I'm sure you'll just
it
re-up on the
won't
subscription
actually
fee.
exist. It's ephemeral.
No, it's completely ephemeral, and
yeah.
it's designed to just be scrolled past because we live in the algorithmic media age. For the benefit of opening up this deal to OpenAI, Disney has taken a $1 billion equity investment in OpenAI.
That's like 0.3%.
Which again is they're wetting their beak, and the circular investments continue. On the more aggressive side, we have Netflix in the process of acquiring Warner Brothers for $82 billion. Good Lord. That would give immediately Netflix over half of the streaming market and a bunch of other things that they don't care about, like the movie industry.
And by the way, as of recording of this, Paramount, Ellison is putting in $100 billion offer to whatever.
Because they're angry because they want to own half the
I was going to say,
market.
if they win this, then which tech company is going to buy Paramount? It's really what it goes to.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be Oracle.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like if we're playing the long
servers
game here,
and movies.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find a Donald Trump tweet about that on Truth Social, and he'll predict the future. This is the visual component. We've also, don't forget the music industry, which has generally been ahead of other entertainment industries when it comes to relationship with tech, and all the way back to Napster.
Yeah.
Suno is the hot new thing in the music industry for quick demoing. Music companies are using this to scan through their back catalog and generate, give me the rap version of this old Simon and Garfunkel song. Maybe we can get someone to cover it. Warner Music Group and a bunch of others have also signed agreements with Suno to license their music catalog as source material for Suno's AI generation, ending a bunch of legal disputes. And then you brought this up earlier. Nano Banana Pro, Google's AI image generating model, is getting so good at image generation that it can spoof phone photos, it can spoof IDs. There's already evidence that like all those startups that use just like hold up your ID or their photo, like that's going to go the way of the dodo because we can't trust any image anymore. Google owns YouTube, and YouTube at their end of the year product roadmap was like, the future of YouTube is AI.
Thank God. I'm so tired.
So why is this the biggest story of the year? Like one, we are going to be out of jobs real soon because we will not be able to produce content for the content machine fast enough.
Oh, luckily, we're AIs anyway. Right?
No, yeah, that's true. Like, how do you know if we're real? Entertainment industry has completely lost distribution and leverage, basically since COVID, but because they never built a streaming version of like the traditional thing, and then they let competitors come in. Tech now owns all the content, which means they kind of own culture. We're not even talking about like TikTok and the other stuff. Mm-hmm. This is like the major like traditional
mainstream
industry media stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, media is now just IP to farm into the slot machine of social. Rob, do you now welcome our tech content overlords? Do you feel good about, you know, Amazon and Netflix and I guess maybe even say Apple owning our childhoods, all the IP, and preventing the creation of anything new, unless it's generated by AI?
I'd say a couple things. One is like for my entire adult career, I have learned and understood each industry as tech has infiltrated that industry. Like I didn't really like photography, and then all of a sudden cameras were software.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like this is just yet another spreading of the tentacles of tech eating every single part of the thing that we do. Mm-hmm. So like from that respect, I'm like, I'll get to the, am I happy about it in just a second, but, and am I surprised? No, it makes perfect sense. These companies, are they, I guess the question is, what is the value proposition of them anymore anyway? Like in Canada, we have oligopolies with respect to like our internet, for example.
Yeah.
And they're trying everything they possibly can to not be dumb pipes because they need to show that they're the value proposition being a dumb pipe. But if you're a movie studio, especially Disney, who makes cartoons, if I could just generate that stuff, the value proposition of what the thing is in the first place is in question, I think.
Absolutely. And the production of it is absolutely in question.
Yeah, and that was hard. It was really hard and expensive.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't have to be as hard as expensive. That doesn't mean I think creation, the idea, like creators will go away, but like what is the value proposition of these businesses to begin with? Then the second thing is the problem with the tech company world that we live in at the moment is there doesn't seem to be the same level of accountability of these companies as the 100 years of companies that have come before them. Like telco is very heavily regulated because of all the stuff. It took a long time to build telecommunications infrastructure, and you had the time to regulate it. Or these studios, they're 100, 150 years old.
Yeah.
You can talk, like they have unfair deals. Not that they're always good actors. They have unfair deals about what theater can distribute what and when. Yeah. So they're not exactly like
it used to be law that like the movie studios also couldn't own the movie theaters because they didn't want control over the
whole stack,
distribution.
The top stack.
Yeah.
So like we're in that moment. It's just the tech companies, as we just talked about at the beginning about, they're not being held to account for anything. And they've somehow managed to escape that accountability. And I think to have a society that is, I'm not trying to be all, mushy about it, but like, who do we want people that we elect to hold people to account, or do we want these big tech companies to hold them to account? And as Canadians, you've talked about this. We've talked about this on old episodes of the BetaKit Podcast.
First episode of CanCon was Hipster TV and talking about how the great cable unbundling for subscription services was getting bad, and that was a
2016. That's 10 years ago.
Decade ago.
Yeah. I'm glad these are all new stories. And then you've also covered the fact that we look at what the stuff that you covered on Google and Meta holding us hostage about showing news on their platforms. They're not accountable to anybody but themselves. And so I think that what worries me is the lack of accountability. I don't care. Like they're all big, scary companies that have a lot of money. The accountability is the problem. But reflecting it back to you, how do you think about it? I mean, your business is a content business. So how does this affect anything about how you run BetaKit and anything that you think about how you show up? or what you think the future of this business is?
Well, I'll answer that quickly. And
it's not me. I understand it's not entertainment.
No, totally. But you're right. Because like I was just thinking about this today, where as a media company, you always have to be thinking about the channels and the platforms that you're on, and it's really difficult when that's gone from distribution platforms to algorithmic control. It's an additional layer when it's algorithmic control of what you're producing to algorithmic force behind constant production, because this doesn't disintermediate the creator from the audience. This disintermediates the audience from any creation or creator like at all, right? Why would you need people to create when we can just generate, we've got the IP rights? What really resonates with me about what you just said is two things. Got into different forms of media through the excitement of tech. And that used to be oh my God, there's this new camera. You can carry 1,000 songs in your pocket. There's just some tech acceleration that gives scale, power, feature sets, convenience to these core aspects of human society. Watching this thing, reading this thing, listening to this thing, experiencing this thing. And that seems like you were talking about the tendrils. The tendrils have gone from 0 to 1 to 1 to 10. And now it's what else can tech extract from those experiences? The other side of this was the accountability. Is there accountability? Back to the very, very beginning, a lot of our predictions based upon last year was like, will copyright hold? Will antitrust hold? And we're seeing that those are not the maybe initial pillars of driving outcomes in the industry. And a lot of really smart people who are able to read the board are like, why would we take this to court? Let's sign a deal. Let's take the money. Let's set a price. Disney doesn't want to be replaced by the next new generated thing. They have to be on these. We're going to open up our IP. We're going to take a stake in the winning thing. And continue to go along and survive.
So are you saying you're investing in OpenAI?
Well, announcement to be made. I think your point, like we don't have an environment where there is some sort of third estate that is making sure that consumer interests are represented. There's no we just had an episode about the only thing that people know about our outgoing competition commissioner is that he lost, and that's in Canada.
Right.
And Canada can't regulate any of these companies because they don't even show up to be regulated. And in America, it's just easier for them to make deals with each other. So yeah, that accountability question is a real big one. And I think we're just seeing, again, the leverage switch over and who the deal makers are. Like the wheeling and dealing Hollywood is no longer there because Hollywood doesn't exist.
But how do you think of so we talked about the Fediverse at the top of the show, and I happen to use Ghost. I'm thinking about Substack. I happen to use Ghost, and Ghost is an open source, it can be self-hosted platform that is competitor to WordPress, bent towards a Substack and emailing structure because that's what was hip a few years ago. They just added the ability to publish Ghost posts across the Fediverse in one go.
Yeah.
Kind of leaning into the open social part of the internet. Cool, granola. Like, is that actually going to grow your audience? Or do you have to be like, fuck it. We're in an algorithmic world. I need to put my shit on YouTube. I need to put my shit on Substack because Substack commoditizes your user interface, the way you look, the way you show up, but it has discovery as a mechanism. So I guess what I'm wondering is, these companies you're talking about distribution, right? You're talking about distribution and also discovery, by implication discovery and algorithmic discovery. Do you think differently about that in 2026 as BetaKit? You as a news publication are just like, no, we show up on the channels we show up on, we manipulate them to the best of our abilities, but it doesn't change.
It's more that because to grow an audience, there has to be an audience there first. Yeah. So we can participate in these channels, but the most important ones that BetaKit has are the ones that we own ourselves. The interesting thing about, like you referenced Substack, they just made a change that if you they'll send you an email, and if you want to read the rest of the Substack email, they force you to read it in the Substack app. So they're trying to kill
Medium,
like protocols.
Yeah.
Like it's like real bad.
Yeah.
But so, that will only be an alternative when people decide that they want an alternative. And I think we've had a variety of conversations around that. I think people are not happy with this environment of like all of streaming being owned by like two companies, but they also have to make the choice to go look for those things, participate in it to grow an audience. I think we're totally captured by the algorithmic age. I think if we're going to look for change, we'd have to look to younger generations that just reject that on principle or going a little bit more Luddite and want the direct control that we took for granted of their tech.
Is that why this show comes out on LP now? Is that?
Yeah, man.
It's warmer.
It's why we do most of our good podcast work at Urban Outfitters. I'm always standing behind that vinyl
Do they
rack.
still
I don't know. I
remember how they used to be the biggest vinyl.
I don't even know if that still exists.
They used to be
anymore.
the biggest record selling company in the state, in the world.
And
one
like
point.
10 years ago, we're so cooked. Our references, I don't know if they still catch up. But on the point of the youth,
That's a clothing store, just in case you're wondering.
I will close on our final big story of the year. And we said off the top, we had a couple large tech stories. I wanted to bring a little bit of the Canadian tech in there. Again, BetaKit's working on its own biggest Canadian tech stories of the year series, probably out by the time you're seeing this or listening to it. We've got a bunch of bangers. We're talking like sovereignty in tech, a whole defense tech industry sprung up. We're talking about, again, our Canadian version of this political engagement between tech and government. Very, very interesting. My focus in that series this year is on the youth. And ostensibly, like at the end of last year, I was wondering if we were dealing with a lost generation of Canadian tech, this new swell of entrepreneurs coming in and struggling to find their place. I'm now much, much more worried that they're leaving. And that's because of some data that has come out in reports showing that about a third of high potential startups created in 2024 are still headquartered in Canada this year. Half of those companies that have bailed have gone to the US. Again, we know that it's not just the entrepreneurs. Tech workers are paid about 46% less on average in Canada than US. We have on this podcast talked to founders who they didn't even get pulled. It was just so easy. They were given a golden bridge from Kitchener-Waterloo to SF. And they have found so much more revenue, financing, and network effects there than they have here. Madison McLaughlin for BetaKit just did this great story about Maya Trin and her team wanting to build like literally a community in Vancouver for Gen Z tech to rival Silicon Valley. They ended up closing shop and then launching an AI startup in SF. This is a quote from her. The US lets us test, ship, and scale faster before bringing those capabilities back into Canada the right way. But they're not doing it from Canada. We just did, following this episode, a podcast with Kevin Kleiman, formerly co-founder of Humi, now in the Employment Hero Mothership, surveying the generational break in the workforce in Canada for Gen Z versus every other generation. The World Happiness Report shows Canadians under 30 were the happiest age group in the country as recently as 2011. Now they're the unhappiest. And only 4 other countries have seen such a dramatic drop in the last 14 years of that timeline. Jordan, Venezuela, Lebanon, and Afghanistan.
So sorry, this is the way you're ending the podcast.
Yeah. What is you think I was going to bring Rob Kenedi back to the podcast to have a happy,
well, luckily this is a drinking episode, so hopefully you're sufficiently,
totally.
Yeah.
If you on your BetaKit podcast, biggest tech stories of the year bingo card had Douglas was going to close on the darkest timeline scenario, congratulations.
That's a free square in the center of the bingo card.
Absolute free square. Why does this matter? Well, to your point, we're like looking for young generations to change the circumstances we're in.
Whoops.
And they're just leaving the country.
Yeah.
So no more BetaKit, like readers or listeners.
Right.
But just for me, this, and I can see it and I can feel it. The position that I'm in middle age, people that we know, like friends and colleagues in the space versus young people entering, how much harder it is to just be in Canada. Mm-hmm. And if you are in this space and you're looking to build either at a company or start your own, you're just running the math, and it seems like this is not the place to be doing it. And young person after young person is making that calculation and leaving. And I think this is the biggest story of 2025, but it's going to be a really, really impactful story in like 2030, where we're going to continue to feel the effects of this. Mm-hmm. So as someone who wonders if I was in my 20s now, early 20s, at the age I got into tech right now, if I would make the same choices that I had, I don't think I would. I think it would be so much harder. I don't even know if I'd be even considering it. I don't even know if I'd feel or see the opportunities. And I think it's a really big effing deal, which is why, darkest timeline jokes aside, I wanted to raise it up. Mm-hmm. Rob, I wonder, because you are not only older than me, you also have friggin' children. So you're trying to produce the next generation of Canadian entrepreneurs.
Yes.
What is, as your experience of this matched the data that I just laid out and some of the people that we've spoken to on the podcast this
100%,
year?
100%. I read the Madison's article. Like,
we posted that as a recording 5 days ago, and it's our most read story all of December.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't know why.
More than our homepage.
That just stuck in my brain. I don't know what it is. I think because it resonates. I think there's a fundamental schism that's happened. Like my religious philosophy on this, I guess I shouldn't pick the word religious, because the 80 BCE distinction, right? Like before current era, before Christ, after Anno Domini, whatever. I believe there's an anti-pandemic and a post-pandemic. It doesn't matter what happened in 2019. It doesn't matter what happened in 2018. What matters is what happened in 2021 and 2022. Those kids, including mine, who had to go online for their education and it messed with their socialization skills. I think we are living in that world, and it's just a different world. And the problem with the Gen Zs and below is geography is kind of meaningless. You're spending your time online. You're interacting with people online. Like even you and I, well, I don't play as much anymore, but you play video games with people. It doesn't matter where they are.
Yeah.
You just play video games with people. One of my closest friends has never met her close friends that she plays with every single day on the internet. And that's a Gen X millennial thing. Gen Zs are they don't exist in the physical world only. You could argue the difference is we existed in the physical world and we have an online presence. They have an online presence, and oh, by the way, they exist in the physical world.
They have to be in a place. And if they're going to be in a place, if they're gonna fucking,
why friction?
If they're going to rent an apartment with 7 people,
because they can never buy a house ever.
Why not do it in SF and have someone give you $1 million and access to revenue and work with some founders?
I was speaking to a friend of the pod, Chris Newman, a couple of weeks ago. We were overseas, and he's doing this thing in the Valley where he's like, not just bringing people down. This was his thing for a long time, but not just bringing people down for like a week. He's like, you're going to be inculcated for a month. You're sitting there for a month, and you're going to meet people, and you're going to really get into it, not just like, look how amazing this is, now go back to your ecosystem. That's his jam, and that's cool. But what was interesting is he said that he threw a coffee meetup. He just posted it online. He's like, I'm here for next week for a coffee. And like the younger founders would get on a plane to go have a coffee with him in San Francisco from Waterloo. Because why wouldn't you do that? And I'm like, you what? Excuse me, to have a coffee in San Francisco?
They're that worried about calling someone on the phone that this
don't talk to anybody digitally. So I guess the point is, I think the mindset of the age group and the mindset post-pandemic is geography doesn't matter. What do I want to do, and where's the best place for me to do it? And it seems to be this. And I want to reduce the amount of friction because I don't have any other potential outcomes. I would also say maybe I'm really never the optimist here, but I began my career in tech
Yeah.
in the dot-com boom and bust. And as a developer, that's how I met Andrew Graham and a bunch of other folks, because we were working in a nonpartisan, just down the straight and narrow. Can we build policy that helps the brain drain? That was what it was called in 2001.
Yeah.
And we are having this exact same conversation now that 25 years later. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I'm not saying that the future is like the past. We are guaranteed to keep our youth in this particular scenario. However, this seems to be an ebb and flow that Canada has. And I was just overseas doing a talk in Scotland, who has the same, every ecosystem in the world that is not the Valley. And I'm not even talking about like Canada. I'm talking about other American cities have the same problem, which is the Silicon Valley is short of that in China. Those are the two places in the world that do things in a very particular way, where you can do a very particular thing. And the question is, I think there is hope that as we come out of the other side of things and we see what these big tech companies are doing, people are making choices. It used to be super nerds that would go in the Fediverse for religious reasons. But now people are like, do I really want my entire persona to be ingested into an AI? Do I really actually want that? And what does a good quality of life look like? And I think it's not just, I'm going to grind into startup in San Francisco and then scale to infinity. I think that this generation also has a sense of what life is, and it's not just tech. So I think they may be more.
So they're just, okay. So this, what you're saying is what we were talking about when it comes to the AI bubble or what's going on in media. They're just making a business decision, and this is the best business decision for them
at the moment,
that
at
resonates.
that point in time. And it's just another thing in their life. Cause like,
I can't begrudge them for it. But I think it's going to be super impactful.
100%. Our population is still aging. And if we use all the young people, that's bad for a whole bunch of reasons.
Like we really need you to pay into Social Security.
Exactly. And take care of us when we're podcasting in the hospital.
If we're still allowed to.
Yes.
Okay. So those were our biggest tech stories of 2025. If you've got different ones, differing opinions, we want to hear them. You can send us an email, podcast@betakit.com. We'll read everything you send
brightest
to us.
Brightest timeline.
Yeah. Give us a
We've
brightest
never even
timeline.
used that term before, I don't think. So it's like, what do you think the brightest timeline
Made me
is?
uncomfortable saying it. You can leave, if you're watching this online, a comment down below. Help us algorithmically. And then maybe, because this is closing the books in 2025. 2026 is right around the corner. We're going to be doing some predictions.
Oh gosh.
We're going to be doing biggest tech questions, which is a safer place for us than predictions because we're so bad at predictions. But why don't you send us your thoughts? We want to hear from you. We hope you got through 2025 okay, and we hope we'll see you again in 2026.